So one caller, Richard, wants to know if you're familiar with the Mount Laurel, New Jersey Supreme Court case in New Jersey that requires every municipality to include affordable housing, and if you have any thoughts about that.
Yes, I am. You described the fair share proposal in New Jersey accurately as a result of the Mount Laurel decision and then the actions of the New Jersey Legislature. But we have in the dialogue that we have about housing in this country, we misuse and abuse the term affordable. What the New Jersey Fair Share Plan does is require that every jurisdiction have its fair share of low-income residents. In New Jersey, in practice, that means African Americans and Hispanics primarily, but it's not an explicitly racial program. But today, housing is unaffordable to working class and middle class communities, families in many of these communities. And when we talk about affordable housing and mean only low-income families, we are creating, I think, a very unhealthy situation of creating communities that are, on the one hand, have affluent white families, and on the other hand, have low-income minority families with nothing in between. Most people don't realize, because we have these terrible stereotypes, that most African Americans are not poor. Most African Americans are working class. They wouldn't qualify for these low-income developments, but they can't live in these communities that are exclusive either, because there's no missing middle in these communities. So when we talk about affordable housing, we need to go beyond simply creating housing for the lowest income families in the most affluent communities, but create opportunities for what's sometimes called the missing middle as well, and not misuse the term affordable to apply only to the lowest income families. And in order to create those missing middle opportunities, we need the kinds of programs that I described earlier, which are not the low-income housing tax credit, but things like subsidies, down payment assistance to families who are working, have jobs, don't qualify for low-income programs, but are priced out of many communities most communities in suburban communities in this country.
Richard, when you consider those folks who are the truly very low income, in the book you talk a bit about the role of public housing in reinforcing segregation. What should the role of public housing be in a country that has so little of it and where we've stigmatized it?
Well, we stigmatize it because we've turned public housing, which was originally a program for working class families who had jobs. Public housing was begun in the Depression, in the New Deal. It was not for poor people. We had 25% unemployment in the Depression. Public housing was for the 75% who had jobs, who could afford housing, for whom no housing was available. We need to return to that vision of public housing that's truly mixed income, that has subsidized units for low-income families, but that also has workforce units for teachers, for nurses, for construction workers, for people who are priced out of high-opportunity communities and can't afford to live anywhere but in low-income communities where they're the highest income earners. So we need to re-envision public housing so that it's mixed income. We're no longer concentrating the most disadvantaged families in it. We should have opportunities for them in public housing, but we need public housing for middle-income, working-class families as well. The private sector in this country today is incapable of building housing for lower middle-class, working-class families. It just doesn't price out. And so they are left without housing, paying exorbitant rents in low-income neighborhoods, and without the housing they should be able to afford if we had a truly mixed-income public housing policy.